Hello and welcome to Sleeper Jazz Guitars. I'm Brian Delaney, and today we're going to talk about another great sleeper jazz guitar. What do I mean by sleeper jazz guitar? Well, something that you may not see out there in the wide world of guitars just every day, but it has features that make it cool, maybe really affordable, and it's a little bit out of the mainstream of the really expensive jazz guitars that everybody are clamoring for. So keep your eyes open. You may find a great sleeper guitar out there. Today we're going to talk about the Ibanez JP-20, as in the Joe Pass 20 guitar. First, we need to know a little bit about Ibanez guitars in general. And we can start by saying that in the 1970s, Ibanez was building a lot of what they called copy guitars of very famous model Gibson guitars at the time. They were building virtually identical copies visually of Les Pauls, L5s, ES-175s, and so much so that they ran into trouble with Gibson, who issued a cease and desist order and asked them to stop building such accurate copies of Gibson instruments. And they did conform to that and decide to go one step further and begin developing their own line of guitars that were unique. So by the late 70s, they'd gotten out of the lawsuit era guitars, and they were trying to find endorsees, great musicians that they could get behind their guitars as specific models that they could sell to the general public. Namely, George Benson and his GB-10 Ibanez, Joe Pass and the JP-20. Lee Ritenour also had a model at the time, and a few others. Today we're going to talk about the JP-20 in particular, and we'll start at the headstock. It has a very unique JP inlay in pearloid and the model designation on the truss rod cover. If we flip it over, we can see it's got what's called Ibanez Velvetoon tuners. These are very good tuners with a very comfortable button that's made out of pearloid plastic. If we look at the back of the neck, we can see it's maple. It's three-piece maple. This instrument has a very, very comfortable neck profile. For those who like fast playability, it's somewhat thin, like a oval shape, not a lot of depth, but wide. You can really work your way around and not feel cramped. If we look at the fingerboard, we see that it's got pearloid inlays with abalone inserts. The abalone really sets it off, and you do see that same kind of approach on things like the GB-10 as well. The fretboard is ebony, and it's bound. Working our way down the guitar, you can see Joe Pass's name is inlaid up here, about the 21st to 22nd fret. And this guitar is a 16-inch arch top. It's not particularly deep in terms of body depth, but it's got a spruce top, tone bar bracing, maple sides, and a maple back, and ebony tailpiece with a matching ebony/rosewood bridge, and it has a single pickup. It's a humbucker. It's called a Super 58 Ibanez humbucking pickup, volume and tone controls. Now, a little bit of history about this particular model. Joe Pass played ES-175s for a very long time, and really was I guess I would say a champion of that particular model for a long time. Then he moved on to a Dequisto. a hand-built Jimmy DeKisto archtop. And this Ibanez is a virtual copy of the DeKisto model. And I think it's ironic that Ibanez went through a long phase of building copy guitars and getting involved nearly in lawsuits about that. Then as they developed their endorsee guitars, they built yet another copy of a DeKisto. Most people don't know it's a DeKisto copy, but you can tell there are distinctive features about it. The shape of the guitar, the fact that it's got this very kind of stubby Venetian cutaway, and these telltale DeKisto sound holes. And if you know anything about DeKisto guitars, you'll know that this is a quintessential DeKisto style tailpiece. It's very sturdy, solid. It really adds to the ring of the guitar. So, 16-inch guitar across. It's not very deep. It's probably 3.5 inches deep. Probably no more than 3. 24 and 3/4 inch scale. And there has been some criticism leveled at this particular model on the internet about the fact that the pickup is shifted back from the end of the neck. And my take on that is that a couple things are in play. First off, if you look closely at a Gibson ES-175, you will find that the front pickup, or the rhythm pickup on an ES-175, is shifted significantly further back than later jazz guitars of, say, the 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond, where most pickups would be floating right at the end of the fretboard. Even if you look at Charlie Christian's guitars from the 30s, you'll find that his Charlie Christian pickup on an ES-175 is shifted significantly further back. A lot of people criticize this model by saying that it sounds thin, which I don't agree with at all. I think this is a very fat sounding guitar. And I wonder, although I can't ask him, about whether or not Joe Pass preferred having the pickup shifted back slightly to allow him to fit his fingers between the end of the fretboard and the pickup without running into the pickup cover with his fingers as he did fingerstyle jazz. Anyway, it's a wonderful little guitar. This one dates to about 1980. So what's it sound like? Well, let's take a quick listen. So it's got a nice single note fatness. It's a nice guitar to play chord melody stuff. It's a great little guitar. See if you can find one out there. The Ibanez Joe Pass JP-20. Until next time, this is Sleeper Jazz Guitars, and see you around.